Good morning, good people of YouTube. My blog today is about my wife. And I'll have some things to say regarding her in a little bit here. First, I just want to comment on a couple things. I finally, a month after making my application, I finally got my director status. Why on earth it took so long, I'll never know. Why on earth there were other people who applied after I did that got it before I did, I'll never know. But I finally got it, so I guess all is good. And the good news in that, of course, is that I finally don't have to worry about the old 10-minute time limit. So this video will probably exceed 10 minutes just because I can. So anyway, I'm home today in a quiet house because today's the first day of school. And for the first year, since we had our last child 7 years ago, I have all children in school full time, which means I'm going to have a lot more time to myself, which should be interesting. For those of you who don't know, well, you're probably aware that I'm a minister, but I'm a part-time minister, which means I only work occasionally. I've spent the bulk of the last, probably 10 years, really, spending most of my time as a stay-at-home dad. I've worked on and off through those years, and over the last 6 of those years, I've been in ministry, and I've done occasional work in doing filling in for pastors and doing weddings and funerals and stuff like that. So that's always been there, but that's only occasionally. And then otherwise, I've also worked on and off during those years at other things as well. But for the most part, I've been a stay-at-home dad for the last 10 years. And my wife and I agreed to do it that way because her earning potential was substantially better than mine. And she also had, therefore, ability to get much better benefits packages, which included, much better health care provisions and such for our family. So actually it worked out that she was far better equipped to be the breadwinner for our family than I was. Financially, for us, it was a good decision to not have to put our children in daycare. We also preferred to do it that way because we just feel like, if possible, children are better off if they can be home with a parent during the years that they have to be home. So it's not that we don't understand that there's people out there who can't do it that way. We understand that, and we don't condemn that. If you have to use a daycare, you have to use a daycare. But if possible, it's nice if you can be able to be home, if one of you can be able to be home with your children. And that's something we wanted to be able to do, and we managed to do it. I'm contemplating working more now that I have all the kids in school, but we'll see how it goes. We're not in a situation where we badly need the income, and there's other things I could get accomplished with ministry and such. Various things that I do. If I don't, go back and work full-time or something like that. But I don't know. Something we're going to have to talk about and think about and pray about and just kind of see how it goes. Anyway, after nearly 5 minutes of blabbing about other things, I'll actually get to the point of this video, which was to talk about my wife. My wife, some of you may already know her. some of my regular viewers who've been with me for quite some time are aware of my wife, who is MT Jake here on YouTube. MT Jake 84, actually. I would really encourage you to look her up. She does videos as well. She doesn't do videos nearly as often as I do because she really doesn't have the time. But she does them occasionally, and she's got quite a few out there. And her videos are usually various stories about either her life or our life together, or things about me that you probably won't hear me talk about. So, you know, she's got a few stories out there that are a little bit embarrassing to me. So, maybe those of you who've seen the MT Squared show that we do together, if you saw the first couple episodes of that, you know that I embarrassed her pretty good on that. And a lot of you were telling her that she really needs to, you know, find a way to embarrass me. And actually, you know, some of the stories she tells on her own videos do embarrass me sometimes. So, you know, if you want to hear some embarrassing stories on me, you know, check out her videos. But either way, you know, I'd suggest you check out her videos because she tells some good stories, some very inspirational stories. And, you know, she's just a really decent person, so I'd encourage you to check her out. Now, as to my wife, you know, there's some things I want to tell you about my wife that, you know, she's never going to say about herself. For one thing, I want to tell you that the reason I married my wife is because, well, I often tell her she's the only sane woman that I ever met, so I married her. You know, that's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke. I mean, please don't take me wrong and think that I'm saying that all women are crazy. That's not the case. I fully believe there's other sane women out there. I just unfortunately never got the chance to date any of them until I dated my wife. So, you know, I dated some extremely emotional women. I dated some women who, you know, really didn't know what they wanted, and you know, swore their undying love to me and all that crap, and then, you know, a month later turned around and dumped me on my head. So, you know, to guys, you know, women can seem pretty bizarre, and I realize that to, you know, women, guys can seem pretty bizarre too. But there's an issue about that you women should know about, and that's that one thing you need to keep in mind is that we guys often hear you women say, there's just no decent guys out there. You know, how you really want to be able to find a nice guy who'll be honest and true and loyal and will take care of you and all that. And stand by you and never cheat on you and all that stuff, right? Well, the fact of the matter is, there are guys out there like that. But the problem tends to come in the fact that when women all too often meet guys like that, they find them boring. And they don't tend to want to date those guys. They tend to want to find a guy who's more exciting, more, little more dangerous or something, you know. I mean, the kind of guy that they say they want really doesn't tend to be the kind of guy they really seem to want when they go after whatever it is they want. You know, I spent my whole life being that kind of guy that women say they want. And I got dumped time and time again by women who, after me, went out and found a guy who was more exciting, more dangerous. And of course that guy, in time, generally just used them up and spit them out, as guys like that generally do, because guys like that tend to be players. But, so, you know, there's women out there who need to think about that. You know, is the nice, honest guy who will stand by you and support you really the guy you want? And if he is, why do you choose the guys you choose? Unfortunately, that happens too often with a lot of women. I think women eventually, you know, after they get hurt enough, learn their lesson on that. But it tends to take a lot of women a really long time. I mean, they often go through a long string of boyfriends or husbands or whatever that, end up hurting them pretty good because it takes them a long time to learn their lesson. But the kind of guys that you say you want are out there. And they're getting hurt because, when you meet them, you tend to blow them off. And there's really only a few women out there who seem to not do that, to appreciate a good man. And they tend to be older women who've learned a little bit about life. But anyway, the thing of it is, when I say that I married my wife because she's the only sane woman I ever met, I say that because, it's not that she hadn't made them mistakes too, in a way. I mean, she married her first husband, and, she closed her eyes to a lot of red flags that, she should have been able to see that would have been telling about what his character actually was. But, that was the only guy that she'd ever really seriously dated. And she fell in love, and, especially when it comes to our first love, we tend to, close our eyes to a lot of things and rush in blindly. And that's what happened, and she married him, and it went badly eventually, and which is, sad for that marriage, and sad for him, and certainly sad for their son. But, for me and for us as a couple and for our children, of course, it turned out to be a good thing. But I've always wished that her and I could have met, many years before either one of us got involved with other people, thinking that maybe, the combination would have been right from early on. But, that might not be the case either. We were different people during those times, and we may have made mistakes that we didn't make later in life. So I'm appreciative for what I got and when I got it. I believe it was in God's perfect timing, and that's why we've worked together as well as we have. And the thing is my wife's not a highly emotional woman. She's not driven by her emotions the way a lot of women are. She deals with emotional stuff a little bit, but probably not more than I do, really. I mean, guys have an emotional side to them. They just tend to repress it. But she's a much more logical person. She tends to think a little more like a guy does. She's a very driven person. She's a very hard worker. She tends to excel rather quickly at pretty much anything she sets her mind to do. She's highly intelligent. In fact, she is a member of Mensa, which is an organization that to be in it, you have to be among the world's 2% of top 2% of most intelligent people in the world. And, that's quite an accomplishment. It's a little bit humbling for me because I have to go through life realizing I'm married to somebody who's smarter than I am. But that's all right. She's very useful in that respect. There's all kinds of things I can ask her about that she understands better than I do. And that's a two-way street. I mean, I understand a lot of biblical things better than she does, so she can ask me about those things. So I get to feel good sometimes, But but something like that is something I don't think she'd ever tell you. But I'll tell you because I'm proud of who she is, and I have an immense amount of respect for my wife. She's just a very good woman. She's very loyal, very true. She's proven herself to me faithful, time and time again. And, I dealt with a lot of women in my life who took my heart and stomped on it like a grape, basically, and And this is a woman that I know in the innermost depths of my being would never do that. I know that she is as committed to me as I am to her, and that the love we share is one that works equally both ways. Nobody's having to work harder than the other person. Nobody's having to give more than the other person. Nobody's having to be feeling left behind. Um, and a big key to what makes us successful is, we share common beliefs. That's very helpful. Um, we share that love for the Lord. We're both Christians. We come from different backgrounds in Christianity, but it didn't matter. We fused our belief systems pretty easily because we talk so much. I mean, that's a big key to it all. Her and I talk a lot. Our communication level is fantastic, and most of the time we can come to a meeting on the minds on just about anything because we talk it out, we figure it out, we work it out, and she's just I don't know. I think she's one heck of a person, and she doesn't get a lot of views here on YouTube, and I'd love to see more people pay attention to what she's doing because I think she deserves it. And I'm trying to think what else maybe I could tell you about her. She's just a really great wife, She's a great mom. She pours herself into those things with everything she has. And, I'm sure there's other women out there that are good quality women like that too. And at least I hope there is. There's got to be. But they can be hard to find, just as a good man can be hard to find. But we need to look for those things in all sincerity, It's easy to talk the talk and say we want a certain thing, but it means a lot more to go and actually live that out. And, if you want somebody decent, there's somebody out there decent to be with. But make sure that you're also somebody decent to be with. And I think it'll work out. So, I guess that's it. I'm kind of just babbling on and on here. So, the main thing was to let you know a little bit more about my wife and what kind of person she is, and to encourage you to watch her. MTJ84, my wife Martha. Thank you.